What does that mean? Here we go. Here is where we get with the tight square. Libra season has begun. We've got the sun and Mars and the South Node. The focus is on partnerships. These can be business partnerships and personal. So, marriage and love is also included in this. And let's not forget the courtroom. And you see, Mars is all about, I'm ready to go to court. Although Mars is a little bit more about, let's be a little bit more diplomatic. Mars is much more reserved. It's not as spontaneous. It's much slower because it's debilitated in this sign in Libra because it's in opposition of Aries. Remember, that's what we talked about in the last video. Now, the sun's on Pallas Athena here, and that's 1 week out. Okay, a week out from this time, Pallas Athena will have moved to 5 degrees. Okay, so that means Pallas will roughly be here. Pallas Athena is a strategist. And yes, Pallas is this little image here. I'm going to kind of draw on it and highlight it to make it a little bit bigger in black, make her a little bit bolder so you can see her. And it is a female. She's referred to as a female general. Interesting. Very interesting. You think lawyers, you think the courtroom. Wow, powerful. Whoo, I'm excited. Gives me goosebumps. The sun in that opposition, you may feel a little bit drained, but remember, it's going to move. And then once it gets like the next day, it won't be an issue. It won't cause any more problems. However, one thing I want to add to the sun and its opposition to Neptune and Pisces is that at this degree of 25 at the beginning of this week, it is going to be squaring the galactic center. That's a powerful point. The powerful point. Galactic center is like the point of source for the galaxy we live in. Like that's just the teaching, okay? But if you were to talk to the astrophysicists, like the galactic center is a black hole for the galaxy that we live in. So, a black hole is like a vacuum. So it's sucking in. So it's a point of need in your life. So wherever 27 degrees, 26, depending upon your birth chart, look it up in your birth chart. If you don't have that, comment to me below. My charts have all the fantastic colors, are accurate. And if you get the chart, it'll match the chart that you see me reading on. So it makes it easier for you to follow along at home. And that's a big deal, especially if you're new to this. It kind of takes away the awkwardness because, well, there's a lot to look at and I'm crazy that way. So there's always going to be tons of things on the charts that I haven't mentioned yet, but they're there for a reason. They're there for things that may happen in your life. And you're like, damn, I'm not sure what's going on. And so when we have all these other points, we can see, aha, but you had this here, even though nobody's talking about it, it's a thing and it matters. All right. And it helps to give understanding. Okay. So remember now, galactic center, it's a justice point. And I say justice because it's in Saggy. Saggy is the justice system, the justice system. And so a need for justice, a need for freedoms. This is also our spirituality and our religion and our beliefs and higher learning. Sagittarius is ruled by, it's Jupiter. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. You're right. The same as Pisces. Remember, Jupiter was a co-ruler of Pisces before Neptune was discovered. Once Neptune was discovered, it was like, oh, okay, so Jupiter's just going to stay right here, and now Neptune rules this. However, do not ignore the ancient rulers. For the major, like, biblical world that we see ourselves in these last few years, the ancient rulerships have stood out, super pronounced. I'm not saying that the current rulers, I'm not saying to discard them. I'm saying consider them both. They're both valid. And if you ignore one, you're not going to get the whole picture. It's important to include them both. Galactic center, Sagittarius energy, 27 degrees. In this chart, it's just an example chart. It's in house number 4. And so what does that mean? As an example, in house number 4, freedom would be a big deal in someone's life. Freedom in the home, freedom within their family, my freedom of beliefs, my religious freedom, truth, my ability to travel, my ability to go on those journeys, right? To have adventure and my courageous spirit, home, feelings, mom. So for some folks, if they have Saggy here, because freedom is such a big deal, maybe home was always different. It's a mutable energy after all, fiery, mutable. Maybe home was always changing. Maybe home was on the road. Sagittarius likes to travel. It is the adventurer. It finds like, I feel emotionally satisfied. 4th house, moon rules the 4th. I feel emotionally satisfied when I'm traveling. I feel emotionally satisfied. There's things about foreigners, foreign lands, foreign countries, foreign languages that kind of it's kind of like a security blanket. It satisfies me emotionally. 4th house is your emotional needs and emotional security, just like the moon and the sign of Cancer. We're weaving all the things together here, folks. I know. This is just what I'm doing right now at this moment. Might change next week, but this week we're kind of going on speed or on an elevated version. You can stop it, you can rewind it, you can rewatch it, you can take notes. There's lots of golden nuggets here, so use it. I'm wordy today. I apologize. Let me move on and let's go find the moon. Yep, there it is down there in Scorpio. There's the moon. There she is. So what's your guess? Where's the moon going to be? So I can move it. Put it in the comments. Where's the moon going to be? Well, we know that when we studied the moon cycle, the moon is going to move. We'll go from 7 degrees of Scorpio. So we're going to go through Scorpio, through Saggy, through Capricorn, right? So that's 3 whole signs we've gone through. 3.5, I said. Roughly 3.5. Roughly. So it's about there, right? Right. So we get to go through all of those signs in 1 week's time. The moon will be over here, pretty much right where Hygeia is. Hygeia tells us about, that little thing right there. That's Hygeia, that symbol. Hygeia tells you the health of a thing or a person, the state of the health. It's not about good or bad. It's just, here's your health report card, Hygeia. And if it's in Aquarius, that's group energy. This is your friends. Remember, this is medicine. This is science. This is tech. This is disruptive stuff, things we haven't done before. We're trying to, do something new. Think experiments. Think Nikola Tesla, inventions, right? Think, people, think. Power, alternative energy for sure. Electric, absolutely. But so much more, not limited to, but so much more, because of course, nuclear is absolutely part of that. Now, the moon is going to be here. Is that a big thing? Not so much. It depends on where it is in your chart. Depends on if the moon going through Saggy and Capricorn and Aquarius is a thing for you. Like, will it square and angle anything for you? Okay. So the moon being here, remember, the moon is the people. It's the public. It's home, it's family. That's typically the meaning for the word the moon. So it's my physical home, but it's also my past and my history, my ancestry, and mom and feminine energy can represent the mother wound. Move along and let's go find Mercury. We see Mercury is now over here at 8 degrees. But where is Mercury going to be in 7 days' time? Mercury is going to move and she's not super fast, but she's getting there because she's fast regularly. She's going to get to 15 degrees. So she's going to roughly be right here because this says 14 on this particular chart. Remember, this is just an example chart of the moment. So I'm going to take this Mercury that I've drawn and put her here. And let's go look on the chart and see if this matters. What do we have? Do we have anything that this is going to be a thing? Well, For right now, we know that this is going to this is Earth, right? It's Virgo energy. And we know, let's go across the chart. We know what's still sitting at 15. Jupiter. Bam! Mercury and Jupiter are trining yet again. We've had a lot of this going on. Mercury is much quicker than Jupiter. Jupiter in Taurus, money and values. Taurus, money, values, desires, my creature comforts, the earth, the food. People talking about moving, like, oh my God, I have a lot I have to consider. People are like, oh my God, my move didn't work. It didn't go. It got stalled. It got delayed or it got canceled. Why didn't it work? Frickin' Mercury, right? Retrograding. But not just Mercury. Lots of stuff. Venus. Venus was over here doing a thing, going back and forth. 12 degrees to 29 was Venus. And look where Venus is now. You see Venus at 16? Venus was squaring all of last week. She was squaring Jupiter, right? In that video, we talked about it, how Venus was squaring Jupiter and squaring and coming up to eventually square Uranus, right? Venus is at 16 going on 17. Who knows that movie? Who knows what movie I'm talking about? Put it in the comments. So we also have Juno and Venus together still. But look, they're higher number. They're past squaring Jupiter. Jupiter's still at 15. They're now at 16 and 17. They're no longer squaring Jupiter. Squares that involve Venus are known to be good, even though a square creates stress and tension. So the idea, because Venus wants to create harmony, Venus wants to establish and bring goodness and sometimes absolutely gifts and giving when it's in Leo energy, but she can be a little bit risky with her money and maybe gamble a little bit, but gift giving for sure. She's not squaring Jupiter anymore. Jupiter likes to be beneficial. And what we could say is these were the two great benefics, or the great benefic and the not so great benefic, squaring each other. But that square is over and done with. And so things about our values and our money and the questioning of those, or the prioritizing and reprioritizing of those, is now complete. It's now complete. But for those of you who have those moves still planned, remember the rule. We want to wait till Mercury gets to the 22-degree mark. And here she's only at 15. So 22 degrees will be September 30th. And that's because that is when Mercury clears her shadow zone. Now, does this mean you can't sign contracts and you shouldn't? It is just simply my recommendation that if you can't delay those things, that you have to utilize professionals to be involved, because it just means there's going to be a detail you didn't see. And it could be a costly detail, and you don't want it to be a costly detail, right? And even if it's not costly as in dollars in the bank account, because we can't value everything with a number, right? Absolutely. Think about that. You know, Virgo energy squares neighbors, Gemini, for those of you who are thinking of moving. Virgo energy, if you got Mercury over here, it squares Gemini. Gemini's neighbors and community, the place you want to move to or you're thinking of moving to. You see that? And then it also squares Sagittarius, which is long distances and going maybe possibly to somewhere I've never been before, possibly across water, or at least somewhere that probably requires for me to get in a plane. It's far away. So Mercury squares all that. So it could definitely square the logistics, right? Which is like cancellations or the price get, crazy or something. Okay. Mercury's the details, the writing, and possibly even some of those contracts and legalities, Sagittarius and Jupiter. Until she clears it, she's still squaring Saggy and Gemini. So that's just to give everybody like so that we're realistic. So we have realistic goals and ambitions, especially if it involves short distance travels or long distance travels, whatever that may be, even if it's for work or because we literally are moving house. Because you could have a lot of really strong, beautiful, supportive earth energy that as this Mercury is traveling through Virgo, you might have just enough in Capricorn. You might have just enough in Capricorn and just enough in Taurus for it to be supportive and beautiful. So, as we move on, Mercury, I'm still with Mercury for a reason. Here at the end of this week, 7 days, she's sitting here only at 15. But the following week, Mercury's going to move and she'll start to be in that opposition to what? You see that? To Neptune and Pisces and Jupiter, what I started talking about. And they have the ability to really make things difficult as far as, they can throw in the murky waters and the cloudy and the fuzzy and like, oh wow, it's I can't see the clear path forward. They have the ability to do that. So again, you may have some things in your chart where it's strong and it's like, okay, I got the green light, but I just want you to give you the reality of it, okay, of some of the other things that will likely be a factor going forward. And again, it's for a very short amount of time, folks. So it's not huge. So Venus is going to travel. She's not as fast as Mercury. And so what we're looking at is how fast will she travel? She's going to go from here, she's at 16, and she's only going to move 4 degrees. So she's going to get up to here. So she's going to be here at 20 in 7 days' time. Okay. The funny thing is, Juno is going to be right next to her still. Venus and Juno are traveling hand in hand, folks. I'm kind of going to try to draw Juno in here for you guys. This is Juno. That's Juno. So if you look on your astrology chart, if you have one from me, Juno is absolutely going to be on it for you. But you may have been like, I never knew what that was. Juno represents partnerships. Juno represents partnerships, people you would be willing to commit to. This can be marriage. It's typically feminine energy is Juno. So I've heard astrologers say that it's a good indicator for marriage regardless if you're looking to marry somebody who is either, masculine, feminine energy, whatever, right? They just say that Juno is about commitment and someone you're willing to commit to. Okay, but when you look at the meaning of Juno, Juno is the daughter of Jupiter. Jupiter is masculine energy, male. She's the daughter of Jupiter. So I just want to throw that in there. And they travel together in 7 days' time. They'll be here at 20. Now, what does that mean? Here we go. Here is where we get with the tight square. The tight square, a square is a 90-degree angle. So Aquarius would represent as an opposition. So I'm going to draw a line from Venus down to Aquarius at 20. We don't see anything there by transit. There's something else here at 25. Well, let's go look at Taurus. Let's go check Taurus out. Does Taurus have a square for us? What's at 20? What do we got? Look, we got something at 22. Uranus. In our values, our money. Uranus is an authority figure in your life. This can be somebody in charge. It can be bosses. These can be people who are in charge of the monetary systems because it's Taurus energy. So we think of, I want to say Jerome Powell. And I mean, not that that's the only person, right? But that's just an example. And he's the one for the US anyway who comes out, head of the Fed, comes out with, okay, are we raising interest rates? Are we lowering them? Are we at a stance? Like whatever. So we think of that, and it's about disruptions. And that's what their job is, right? To kind of disrupt the value of the dollar and inflation. I'll say that way. How about that? Trying to slow inflation down by the interest rates. So it's just somebody in charge. But this is also tech. This is Aquarius energy because it rules Aquarius. So we think of something new and disruptive. We think of science. We think of even astrology. Absolutely. Friends. But yes, an authority figure can be a mom or a dad. This is masculine energy, though. Okay. But it can be someone in your life who somehow has authority over you in some way. It's at 22 degrees. I will mention here, because it's relevant for me, Uranus, when we talk about our physical body, it's the nerves of your body. And a placement on your body specifically is, for me, I've noticed, and not just myself, but others, the ankle. It is relevant for the ankle as well. Now, it's going backwards. You see that? It's going backwards. It's not a fast mover, though. But Venus is a much quicker mover. Venus and Juno at 20 degrees are squaring Uranus now together. Venus and Juno at 20 degrees are squaring Uranus. And as this week goes on, it'll get tighter. Now, what I've basically done, gone, and given you is kind of like the highlights of the coming week. Look forward to next week's video. We will talk more in depth and Mercury squaring the galactic center a little bit more firmly. We'll go deep dive on that. And I didn't talk about her, but I did reference her in Scorpio. She doesn't move real fast. Sirius is grain and food. It's how you nurture yourself, how we nurture ourselves. It entered the sign of Scorpio this week. So what's that going to look like? Is that going to bring a benefit? Is there going to be any stress and tension? We'll do a deep dive on the next week's chart, and we'll kind of track Sirius a little bit, and we'll see how that looks at home and maybe on the global stage. I hope this helps. You got any questions, comment below. If you don't have your chart, it's free. What the hell are you waiting for? Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.